October 13th, 2:17 p.m. local time, Northern Caribbean Sea. The USS Mason cuts a perfect line through calm blue water, her twin gas turbines humming steady at 18 knots. The day is bright, quiet, almost too still. Inside the Combat Information Center, a green pulse sweeps across the Spy 1D radar screen. Then contact. New surface track. Bearing 180 range, 10 miles speed, 45 knots. The watch officer's voice is low controlled, but everyone hears the shift in tone. A go-fast boat, low-profile aluminum hull, the kind favored by traffickers running narcotics out of Venezuela. No AIS beacon, no flag, no electronic signature. Just a metal streak cutting north like it's late for its own funeral. Bridge CIC. Unidentified surface contact, small craft, high speed, no response to IFF. Copy that. Maintain track. Attempt hails English and Spanish. The radio crackles to life. Unidentified vessel. This is United States warship Mason operating in international waters. You are ordered to identify and maintain safe distance. Silence. Then, a burst of static, nothing intelligible. Out on the horizon, binoculars confirm it. A tiny silhouette slicing the sea-flat rooster tail spray behind it. No colors, no pennant, and 4 figures visible on deck. One near the stern appears to be working with something metallic, long, tubular. Not fishing gear. Not harmless. Helm steady on course. CIC keep recording all tracks. ROE posture level 1. The captain's voice is calm, but the air inside the bridge tightens. No one looks away from their stations. This is how real encounters begin. No warning, no build-up, just a blip on a screen that refuses to behave. Every sensor on the Mason is alive now. The AN divided by SPS 73 surface radar paints the target cleanly. The forward FLIR turret swings, zooms, and locks. The thermal image blooms hot white on the monitor. 4 human heat signatures, a pile of canvas-covered cargo, and a single bright spot that flares too warm to be anything benign. Contact still not responding, the radio operator reports. No lights, no maneuvering. Bearing unchanged. CIC confirms the vessel is coming straight at them. At 2:21 p.m., the captain orders activate warning protocol. One final hail. Unknown vessel, you are approaching a United States Navy warship. Reduce speed and prepare to be boarded. No answer. The destroyer's forward 25mm autocannon rotates slightly, its barrel glinting in the sun, a signal, not a threat. The message is visual. We see you. We're ready. On deck, sailors tighten helmets, scanning the glare for any flash of metal. Contact closing, fast range. 3 miles, CPA under 1. The CIC watches the numbers collapse. Time to impact, 90 seconds. Then it happens. A blinding flash white, violent instant. The explosion shreds the small craft mid-wave, a rolling plume of seawater and smoke bursting upward. Shockwaves ripple across the surface. Bridge CIC, no weapons fired. Repeat, no weapons fired. Every display floods with noise as debris scatters across the radar sweep. For a heartbeat, the crew believes they've been hit. Alarms blare, sailors brace. Then silence returns, just the hiss of static and the slow fade of echoes on the scope. The captain grips the railing, eyes locked on the rising column of smoke. Get eyes on the water. All sensors live. Find out what just blew up. No one speaks, the thought forming behind every steady breath. Did the Mason just survive an attack or witness something far worse? 2:04 p.m. local time. The Caribbean sun glints across the water, now scarred with floating debris and streaks of fuel. The radar track that moments ago showed a fast-moving threat has disintegrated into a ghostly smear of echoes. Inside the Combat Information Center of the USS Mason, the tension is electric, but disciplined, every sailor glued to their console. Bridge CIC. Contact Sierra 041 lost. Multiple small radar returns. Possible wreckage. Copy. Maintain condition 1 Alpha. Launch helo for overflight. The order moves through the ship like a pulse. On the aft deck, crewmen in cranials and float vests rush to prep the MH-60R Seahawk helicopter call sign Romeo 2-1. Rotor blades spin, slicing humid air into a low, steady growl. Within 90 seconds, the aircraft lifts off, camera pod, armed infrared sensors active. The captain leans toward the starboard windows, scanning the horizon through binoculars. Smoke and steam rise in thin columns. "That explosion came from inside," he says quietly, almost to himself. "We didn't fire a damn thing." Back inside, CIC analysts replay the footage frame by frame. The FLIR feed from seconds before the detonation shows a sudden bloom of heat originating from the stern of the small craft. No inbound projectile, no tracer, no splash signature. Just ignition from within. Possible fuel or ordnance cook-off, one operator suggests. Could be. Or a mishandled weapon, another answers. No one says what they're all thinking, that maybe the U.S. Navy just destroyed the wrong boat without firing a shot. By 2:29 p.m., the Seahawk is on station, orbiting low. Its thermal camera pans across floating debris, shredded fiberglass, twisted aluminum, and an expanding oil slick catching the sunlight in shifting rainbows. Over the radio, the aircrew reports multiple debris fields, 4 life jackets adrift, none inflated, no visible survivors, possible fuel barrel intact. Marked PDVSA, repeat, that's Papa Delta Victor Sierra Alpha. The bridge goes quiet. PDVSA, the Venezuelan state oil company. Not a cartel brand, not a smuggler's label. The intelligence officer writes it down, underlined twice. Meanwhile, Washington is already watching. Data from Mason's radar and video feeds streams live to analysts at U.S. Southern Command in Florida. Pentagon spokespersons are drafting language before the facts are even in. The term narco-terrorist vessel appears in the early brief. But on the water, the picture is far murkier. The Mason sensors show no evidence of an external strike, no radar lock, no incoming rounds. The explosion looks accidental, spontaneous, or catastrophic. CIC, this is Romeo 2-1. Be advised, debris still burning. Request permission to record and relay full visual package. Approved, replies the captain. Get everything. Every frame. The helicopter banks hard, circling the wreckage. From 300 feet up, its high-definition cameras capture what words? Can't 4 orange life jackets spinning slowly in the slick, a half-submerged metal drum and fragments of hull still smoking at 2:41 p.m. The first statement hits social media. U.S. Navy neutralizes suspected narco-terror vessel in Caribbean Sea. The Pentagon's press office confirms a precision defensive engagement. Except Mason never fired. The ship's crew watches the reports roll in over internal news feeds. Some shake their heads, others stay silent. They know what the footage shows. No missile trail, no gunfire, no outgoing rounds. Just one flash, one detonation, one mystery. And now the storm is political. The Venezuelan Ministry of Defense calls it an illegal act of aggression. State TV broadcasts grainy images of fishing boats near the site, accusing Washington of killing civilians. Back aboard Mason, the captain issues a steady command. Hold course. Maintain ROE. Record everything. His tone never wavers, but his eyes say what his words can't. This just became much bigger than an explosion at sea. As the Seahawk returns to deck, the crew braces for the next phase. Not combat, but scrutiny. The kind that doesn't come from missiles, but from cameras, cables, and microphones. Because by nightfall, the whole world will be watching. By dawn on October 14th, 2025, the wreckage has cooled, but the heat around it has only grown. In Washington, the Pentagon holds a terse press briefing. The spokesman's voice is crisp, confident. The USS Mason acted lawfully under established rules of engagement to protect itself against a hostile narco-terrorist vessel. No details, no questions. The clip runs 20 seconds, just enough to make headlines without offering answers. But 1700 miles away in Caracas, the tone is anything but restrained. Venezuelan state television shows President Nicolas Maduro standing on a pier flanked by uniformed naval officers. The sea behind him glows red, under spotlights. The United States, he declares, has murdered Venezuelan civilians in cold blood. The words hit global airwaves like a torpedo. Within hours, Venezuelan patrol ships are photographed mobilizing off the Paraguana Peninsula. Fighters take to the air in a symbolic show of sovereignty. Back aboard Mason, the mood is professional, not defiant. The sailors don't need speeches, they saw what happened. The logs are airtight, the video evidence clear, the destroyer never fired. The explosion came from within the small craft. Still, that doesn't change the optics or the consequences. Inside the Combat Information Center, analysts freeze a single frame from the FLIR feed. There, seconds before the detonation, a man near the stern of the target vessel waving both arms overhead. 2 palms out, a universal maritime distress signal. The next frame is white light. Nobody says it aloud, but the silence says plenty. What if that wasn't a threat? What if it was a plea? By mid-morning, the incident has transformed from tactical ambiguity to diplomatic crisis. The Venezuelan ambassador to the UN calls for an emergency session, accusing the U.S. of state-sponsored piracy. Brazil urges de-escalation. The European Union issues a statement calling for transparency. Meanwhile, inside the Pentagon, lawyers review every second of sensor footage to ensure the official story stays watertight. The captain of the Mason delivers his situation report calmly. Contact Sierra 041, destroyed by internal explosion. No hostile fire observed. Investigation ongoing. Its clinical, factual emotion stripped away. But among the crew, the question won't die. Was this a strike, a smuggling accident, or something in between? In military terms, this is what strategists call the gray zone operations that exist in the blur between law enforcement and warfare. No declared enemies, no battle lines. Just fast boats, uncertain intel, and the constant pressure to act before confirmation arrives. The U.S. calls it vigilance. Others call it provocation. And that's the danger. Because every flash, every contact, every assumption becomes part of a larger pattern. Operation Marlin Shield, designed to intercept narcotics before they reach U.S. shores, now faces global scrutiny. Did it stop traffickers or sink diplomacy? For the men and women aboard Mason, the ocean is unchanged, still blue, still infinite, but the mission feels heavier now. They're no longer just enforcing maritime law. They're sitting at the fault line between deterrence and disaster. By sunset, the official inquiry is already underway. But for the sailors watching the last fragments of the blown craft drift into oblivion, the answers won't come from courts or press rooms. They'll come from hard questions that no briefing can sanitize. Because in the modern sea war, you don't always see your enemy. Sometimes you just see a flash and realize too late that truth doesn't travel as fast as light. So here's the real question. Was this the cost of acting fast in an unpredictable world, or proof that even the best trained crews can be trapped by uncertainty? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one of them. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit like and subscribe, and join the fleet, our community for those who live for real stories from the edge of global tension. You'll get loyalty badges, early access, and a front row seat to every new naval encounter we uncover. Because out here in the gray waters between peace and provocation, one spark can start more than a fire. It can start history.